This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now, from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
You know what I think of Purdy Insurance? I keep meaning to pull Steve Engel aside and ask him if there's suit insurance. There might be one thing on the face of the earth that could be potentially uninsurable. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, RV. That's right. Multitude of insurance needs. And they handle them all and make sure that you save money. It's all at Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. A bad weekend for the NBA, by the way. Once again, they're sitting there doing that joke of an all-star format. It's a joke. And they've had all-star games where it's a team scored 212 points and whatever. The NHL's doing this Four Nations thing. And they are playing hard. Oh, my goodness. I know the fights in the three fights in the first 9 seconds, Canada, U.S., I got that part. Okay? But the other 59 minutes and 51 seconds was just great hockey. Playing for their country, out there trying to, just grind and win. Now, that's what sports should be. Right? The NBA All-Star Game used to be played like it was a game. And now they've turned it into a joke. And then, of course, there's ESPN, which specializes in they think everything that happens today is historic. Right? Headline, ESPN. This is their headline. Right? Right? McClung's 4 perfect threes clinch historic three-peat. 4 perfect dunks, Clinch historic three-peat. It's the dunk contest. There's nothing historic about it. What the heck is that kind of headline? That's ignorant. That's looking at a fan and telling a fan that they're too stupid to know what history is. It's the slam dunk contest. Who cares? Nobody's watching it. It can't be that historic.
I was going to be a little meaner and say it's Mac McClung.
Right? Who did nothing against Penn State when he played at Georgetown.
He's made, somebody said I think I read he's made more money from those 3 dunk contest wins than he's made in his actual NBA career. Probably
was right. But this is an all sports network doing news. Clinch historic three-peat? There's nothing historic about winning 3 slam dunk contests. It's okay. They turned it into a joke. He won 3 of the jokes in a row. Right? I'm not putting down his accomplishment, but don't tell me it's historic. Historic? Stop making up stuff to make it seem like it's important. Historic has something to do with something that is important. The slam dunk contest in sports is not important. The slam dunk contest lost its luster 20-some-odd years ago. It hasn't been right since Michael Jordan did it. Well, it's like when Muggsy Bogues won. There's been a few years, like early on, it was cool. It stopped being cool a long time ago. And historic three-peat. What is wrong? What? I'm telling you, they've got high school kids writing headlines. They've got to. They've got to have it. Every time I turn around, there's something on ESPN, historic whatever. He had 30 points, 10 rebounds, right? And 6 personal fouls. That's historic. I'm like, okay, great, fabulous.
That makes me think of, there's a Twitter, people on Twitter that keep track of the stats that the baseball broadcasts use, just the random, so-and-so has 65 RBIs in the last 40 games, is the first person to do that in 35 years.
Right. All right, exactly. It's stuff like that where you sit back and go, what? Okay? That's why when I talk to my students about doing play-by-play and I get to baseball, I said, do the game. You're not broadcasting for the analytics department. You are not broadcasting for the critics. You're broadcasting for the fans. Tell them who's on first. Tell them what the count is. Tell them what the score is and what inning they're in. Tell me about the defensive alignment. What are they doing here? There's one out. Middle infield's at double play depth. Right-handed power hitter at the plate. They're about maybe 10, 15 steps into left center field. Like, there are ways to describe the game. Okay? I always love, and I talk to them about this one, I said, every once in a while, hear one of you throw in the terminology war, the stat war. I said, okay. I said, the floor is now open. Come up to the board and show us how you calculate it. And there is not a single student in all these years that has ever been able to calculate war. And my point to them is simple. I said, I'm not trying to put you down. I'm trying to give you a broadcast lesson here. The broadcast lesson is, if you don't know how to calculate war, the fan in all likelihood does not know how to calculate war, which makes it a meaningless stat. I said, batting average. Well, guess what? Fans know how to calculate that, and they know what it means. And they know what it means versus somebody else who has a lower or higher batting average. I said, they can relate to those stats. I said, give people stats they can relate to. Football, QBR. Okay? Well, does anybody know how to calculate QBR?
The dude at ESPN that came up with it.
Right. But that's if the fan doesn't know what it means, it's not an effective stat. Okay? So I looked it up. To calculate a quarterback's QBR, total quarterback rating, you need to use a, quote, complex formula that takes into account various factors beyond just traditional passing statistics like completion percentage, yards per attempt, touchdowns, and interceptions. You mean all the stuff the fans understand?
Well, you got to get your proprietary numbers in there so nobody can steal it.
But it says here the exact QBR calculation is not publicly available. Well, if it's not publicly available, what kind of meaning does it have?
I'm not sure I realized it wasn't publicly available.
It involves assessing each play based on expected points added, okay, which is EPA, which I thought was Environmental Protection Agency, considering factors like down and distance, field position, and the quality of the throw. And you're using that? The fans don't know what it means. Oh, God. That's how bad it's become in some areas, in my opinion. I mean, that's just bad. All right. This, that's why I tell them, do the game. It's okay to do the game. And that's the important part. People want to know the time, the score. Things like that. That's what they want to do.
That stuff seems to be important.
No, but I'm trying to give them.
Yeah.
In other words, there's a lot of things that you can throw into a broadcast, stats and things like that. And to me, most of the stuff preparation-wise that you do deals with the pregame show. When you're answering questions, you may need a stat to back up a point or something like that, right? That maybe, that a fan wouldn't know, or right? It's but during the game, once the game's going, you don't have a lot of time between plays. And in baseball, you now have less time between pitches. There was a game, I can't remember the name of the pitcher for the Red Sox. This is before they put the rule in. And he's pitching at Yankee Stadium. It was one of the relievers. And they put a stopwatch on him because he was out there. And you're like, I'm sitting there like, throw the pitch, will you? They finally put a stopwatch on him. I'm talking about the broadcasters did. It's kind of like with Giannis when he's taking a free throw. Okay? 36 seconds. Well, if I got 36 seconds, maybe even I'm talking about war. I don't want to, but yeah.
Well, I think it was last spring training or spring training before. It was somebody from the World Series for the maybe Dodgers or the Cubs or something. Maybe it was the Pedro Strop, that inning where he took forever, where they overlaid the innings and they played the top half and the bottom half of an inning in spring training, and the time it took him to throw to two batters.
Yeah, unbelievable, right? Well, now with the pitch clock, instead of and my point is about the time between pitches is not I made fun of the 36 seconds, but as a broadcaster, you've got to fill all that. So I understand if you're filling it with some other things along the way or a story or something. I got it, because this guy's taking forever out here to throw the pitch. Now that you've got 15 to 18 seconds in between, there isn't as much time to do that, and I think you concentrate more on the game. That's me. Yeah.
Honestly, I think everybody does.
Yeah.
Baseball was a sport that your mind could wander sometimes, and I think that's one of the things one of those things that has helped has just been the snappiness of the game has become better.
Yep. Yep, exactly. So,
did you last long in the All-Star game last night?
I never saw a second of it.
I tried to watch the beginning of it because nothing much else was on, and I gave up.
Yeah, no. I didn't see a second of it, so I don't have any idea what's going on with it. I did watch the entire USA-Canada hockey game on Saturday night, though, and I found it to be riveting.
You weren't the only one. I think it got 4.4 million viewers, I saw.
Yeah, again, I just found it to be riveting because the quality of hockey was so good. I mean, you're talking about every team in this tournament playing for their country, playing their guts out. I thought the Four Nations thing, I was like, I remember being at the Penguins Ottawa game, and they were talking about the Four Nations thing because Brady Tkachuk from Ottawa was going to be playing for Team USA. Sidney Crosby was going to be playing for, Team Canada, and they were talking about it up on the screen and the whole deal. I'm like, my first thought was, okay, the NHL's doing a gimmick, right? It's no gimmick, man. It is like really good. theater. I mean, watching those two teams play hard was, I mean, like they threw their heart and soul into it. And I was just so impressed by watching that. Wow. Just really impressed. Canada's playing Finland right now. That's on TNT. The U.S., which doesn't have to win, is playing Sweden tonight in Boston. The championship is Thursday in Boston. That's on ABC. And Team USA will be in it, and we'll see which team they get.
Now, this replaces their All-Star break this year, correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And this is way better than an All-Star game. Way better. So, by the way, Tony Knopp is going to join us Wednesday at 2. This is the segment that just sends the suit into massive depression because we talk about money. He only likes to talk about money when it's him acquiring it.
Well, that's always a good day, though, when you acquire money.
I think everybody feels that way, right? So it's not exclusive to him. But sports is about money more than ever. We're going to talk to Tony about all that. He just got back from the Super Bowl in New Orleans. And we'll talk to him about that. And it's going to be a lot. That's Wednesday at 2. Tomorrow we've got Matt, who's riding a high. Giancarlo Stanton hasn't swung a bat in 4 weeks, but, you know. That's true. Did you see that?
Yeah, he has tennis elbow in both elbows.
Yeah.
It's not something they're going to be able to, either going to have to manage and not be able to fix all season.
Now, how that happened in an offseason, I'll never know. Somebody's going to have to explain that one to me. All right, wait a minute. You're in the offseason and you didn't do anything? Really?
Well, maybe he's a pickleball champion somewhere we haven't heard about yet.
Well, at least he's finally a champion at something. Philly fans, you had to love that one. Oh, goodness gracious. And then Neil Coulong tomorrow, and then Tony Knopp on Wednesday. Yes. Should be a good week.
Should be.
Yeah, it should be a really good week. Looking forward to it. I got a lot to talk to with Tony. Couldn't have lunch with Tony because he had to get back from New Orleans, and but when we got there, it was pouring. It was just about to pour when we left, and you've seen all the mudslides out there. And we got there, it was raining so hard they closed the Pacific Coast Highway again. Like, oh, geez, because of mud. Finland and Canada scoreless in the first period. Wow. Curry leads OGs to win, captures second All-Star Game MVP. That's really terrific. That's great.
I'm sure it's going on the mantle with his other MVPs.
You know what? In all seriousness, when you have players that are ruining your game, you have a big problem.
Oh, Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama.
I mean, when you have players ruining your game, so I'll give you an example, okay? I need load management. But they're talking about, they're trying to get them to play a minimum of 65 games, which means you'd miss 17. Really? So it's okay for you to miss 20% of the season? I mean, you have players fighting to get it down to 58. Then in this All-Star game thing, they don't try. Well, who's interested in that? Why do I want to take Penn State practiced at the Intuit Dome, the home of the Clippers? The Clippers are in Los Angeles. They don't sell out. That's the second largest market in the country. They don't sell out. Lakers do. The Clippers don't. Now, to their credit, they got a great TV deal, and I give them all the credit in the world because they said we want to triple our money. And, of course, my thought was, hey, look, you want, that's an opening salvo. You want to get 2 to 2.5 higher than what you got before, and by saying 3, it'll help get you there. I got it. Nope, to their credit, they got 3. They got 3 times the amount because live sports sells. Live sports gets people to watch. But right now, they're hurting themselves because they're perceived as a lack of effort league. That they give a damn more about themselves than they do you, the fans. Oh, I need the night off. Yeah, but what about the family of 4 up there that paid to see the one game this season? Well, too bad. I guess they just picked the wrong night. That's the attitude they have. All-Star game. I don't want to play any defense. Right? And then you get confused why everybody criticizes it and nobody's watching it. Well, what are you confused about? You're not delivering. And you can't have everything your own way. And that's what's happening with what the players are doing in the NBA. They want to have everything their own way and how you do it, the whole thing. That's not how it works. Right? Then you watch the hockey guys out there playing for their country, and they're just busting their backsides. God, it was fun to watch. It was a bad juxtaposition for the NBA.
When car repairs get difficult.
Well, I just don't know.
Me neither.
We get good. Sunbury Motors. More than quality new and used cars, Sunbury Motors specializes in complicated auto repair diagnosis. They can handle intricate repairs and even complete auto body with service open Monday through Friday, 7 till 4. And Sunbury Motors has made simple repairs easy. Maintaining your vehicle is necessary. Finding the time to do it is difficult. Welcome to Sunbury Motors Quick Lane. Just walk in or call ahead. Relax in their remodeled waiting room with Wi-Fi, beverages, and snacks. While Sunbury Motors factory-trained techs take care of your oil change, tire alignments, brakes, and inspections. Quick Lane, 6:30 to 6, Monday through Friday, Saturday, 6:30 till 2. Sunbury Motors, Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. We take the out of auto repair.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
All right, Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf, online, sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai. Best of new inventory. Great pre-owned inventory. With the Sunbury Motors guarantee. And a great service department, whether it happens to be quick lane, inspections, routine, difficult, they handle it all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. All right. So, college basketball. Couple quick things. Then I'm going to get into the college football playoff because the big meeting's happening on Wednesday between the SEC and the Big Ten. All right. And the did you see the Terrence Shannon jersey thing?
I did.
I always tell my students in the class all the time. Take care of the little things. Okay? The big things will take care of themselves. This is, so you're getting ready to do something. Take care of all the little things. The big thing falls into place. Obviously, Illinois didn't do the little things. The jersey was upside down. Okay. Now, instead of having fun with it and lowering it and then flipping it around and go, there we go, and everybody would have laughed, Illinois did it. Illinois did it all wrong. You're like, oh, they got all embarrassed. Oh, it's like, guys, as it's going up, okay, everybody, let's stop. Let's bring it back down. Let's do this the right way. And hey, all right, let's change it. Absurd. Right? Everybody would have laughed about it. Afterward, you'd be like, hey, that can't happen again. But they handled it all wrong. Okay. Upside down. Then there's my old friend, and yes, and we are friends. I think the world of him. Micah Shrewsbury, did you hear this one?
I watched the game. I missed him.
This is the press conference afterward.
Okay.
Let's see if we can get this here.
What have they done for people to give up on them? I know if you're not with us because we're losing, you don't want to come watch this, fine. But do it because of me then. But not these kids, man. They don't deserve that. They don't deserve that. Like, ain't nobody else getting home at 5 a.m. from Boston College and going to class the next day and coming to practice and working out and preparing to play Louisville. Nobody else is doing that. Don't give up on these kids, man. I don't care about anybody's opinion. I know who I am. I know I can coach basketball, and I know I'm turning this program around. So you gave up on me already? I'm going to see you back here. I don't give a damn. Don't give up on these kids, because we're going to get this thing rolling. I sat there and watched more Louisville fans in here than Notre Dame people, and that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing for me, because I'm the head coach here. And yes, I got us in this predicament. But don't come back when we're losing or when we're winning, because we're turning this around, man. You better believe that. Everybody that gave up on me, believe it. Write this date down and believe it, because we're going to get this thing rolling. I don't care if you gave up on me or not.
The microphone then took the brunt of that at the end. Hey, I think the world of him. So I understand where he's coming from. It's frustrating. I mean, I'm broadcasting games right now. Guess which team leads the nation in most losses by 6 points or less? Penn State. Penn State and Northwestern both have 7 losses by 6 points or less. I think North Carolina has 5 or something like that. I mean, that's how close the margin has been. That's how frustrating it's been. It's incredibly frustrating. And that's, that's that margin of error we talk about. It's like, So, all right. So now let's get into, there is a lot of things going on. Yeesh. NCAA basketball tournament. They're going to meet. To talk about the future of the NCAA tournament. I do not think it should be moved off 68, but I don't have a vote. And the options are 72 and 76, and it looks like 76 is the one that right now is headed toward the finish line. Now, you'll have to talk to media partners and so forth about how to handle all this. But once they get to the NCAA Final Four in San Antonio, this is going to be a discussion about going to 72 or 76. And again, 76 appears to be the preferred number, according to Pete Thamel in his report on ESPN College Game Day. Now, I don't think it should move off 68. That's me. But in the world where not always bigger is better, the NCAA is going to lean toward, I think, a bigger tournament. With the thought process that there are more schools playing well right now, that there's a depth of talent in part because of the transfer portal out there or money being used for retention and older players now playing the game. So that's one, and we'll see how that plays out. The other one has got its roots in Wednesday. In New Orleans, it'll be the second meeting between the Big Ten athletic directors and the SEC athletic directors, along with their respective commissioners, Tony Petitti from the Big Ten and Greg Sankey from the SEC. It is believed that this is the second conversation that they're going to have that will take a longer look at the college football playoff starting with 2026 and the new contract. The old contract for 2025, so this will be the last season of it, you need to have all 10 conference commissioners and the Notre Dame athletic director, Pete Bavacqua, agree on changes. But starting in 26, they have ceded a lot of that power to the SEC and the Big Ten. Okay? It is expected that eventually, when they meet in Dallas next, is it the end of this month? Maybe it's the end of this month or the beginning of next month, one of the two. That when they meet in Dallas in the next few weeks, how about that phrasing? Nice comeback, Steve. All right. That the Big Ten and the SEC are going to request a move to 14 with the door open to 16, and that the most popular model is the 4-4-2-2-1-1 model. What is the 4-4-2-2-1-1 model, you ask? You may ask the question. No, don't worry about it. You don't have to. Okay.
I was rolling up to the mic.
four automatic bids for the SEC, 4 automatic bids for the Big Ten, 2 automatic for the ACC, 2 automatic for the Big 12, 1 group of 5, and the door left open for Notre Dame if they're in the top 14 to get the other one. If not, it's an at-large. If they go to 16, there would be a minimum of 2 at-larges, possibly 3. I say possibly 3 because Notre Dame would have to be in the top 16. It would then open the door to the SEC then making the next step, which is to play 9 conference games instead of 8. Because right now, part of the argument on the SEC's part about playing 8 is that playing a 9th game would hurt conference records and maybe keep somebody out of the playoff. By having 4 automatic bids, it lessens that pressure. It lessens it. And then there is some talk about, okay, now that you have 4 automatics in the Big Ten and 4 automatics in the SEC, what do you say, since there's less pressure on that front, to then play each other in a non-conference game? So there you go. Ross Dellinger's the one that did all the reporting on this from Yahoo. Okay? This is all, Ross is the one that did all the reporting on this. Want to make sure we get credit where credit is due. It's interesting. And And not only that, but the new financial arrangement starting in 26. You want to know why Big Ten and SEC schools can afford the $20.5 million? I don't know if anybody have seen the numbers yet, but the numbers get to about $22 million per school in the conference, up from about 7 or 8. It's almost triple. How about that?
Is that about the same? I was going to say, is that about the same the SEC schools will get too?
Yes. Well, the Big Ten and the SEC get more than anybody.
Yeah, I just mean, well, is it about the? I just meant, is it about the same?
Right. And by the way, if you're thinking, well, Notre Dame will get 20, no, they won't. What? No, they won't. They get a lot less than that. Now they get, because you're talking about on a per school basis. Okay? Per school.
Their own TV deal makes up for that, though, doesn't it?
It's bigger than it was.
Yeah.
But it's not the same as the Big Ten or the SEC. It's less.
Yeah.
Okay? So, Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports, it's now serious agenda items within the two highest governing bodies of the SEC, Big Ten, Big 12, ACC. Okay? And it has been confirmed by those at the table that it's something that is real in terms of talking. Okay, the management meeting is February 25th, so it is in, what's today? I guess a week, right?
Yeah, next days. Tuesday.
Yeah, it's the 8th. 8 days. Okay? They control the proposal. I mean, to me, my thought process on 72 versus 76 for the NCAA tournament is this. You're going to go to 76 eventually. Just do it now. I mean, that's how I feel about it. With this, you're eventually going to go to 16. Just do it now. Just get it going, okay? I think 16 is more palatable because it brings with it more at-large bids. Instead of 4-4, 2-2, 1-1. And by the way, they'd be ranked 1 through 14 or 16. There'd be no buys for a champion. Champion gets you in. You have to talk about ESPN's role. $1.3 billion per year over the 6-year agreement. $1.3 billion per year. They have data on all this. Since the 2014 playoff, if you have 14 in the playoff, the SEC would have had 52 teams. About 4.7 teams per year. The Big Ten, 51, 4.6. The Big 12 is next at 23. The ACC at 20. Notre Dame, 5. Group of 5, only 3 would have made it, just on a 1 through 16 alignment. And by the way, this alignment does take into account that Oklahoma is an SEC team, and USC's in the Big 10, and Stanford's in the ACC, Utah's in the Big 12. So it does take that in. So in a 16-team playoff, okay, from 2014 to 2025, the Big 10 would have had 59. SEC 55, Big 12 27, ACC 24, Group of 5 4, Notre Dame 7. 14-team playoff, 51 Big 10, 52 SEC, 23 Big 12, and so forth. Okay? Money. The new revenue distribution model has shaken everything up. In the previous structure, okay, they split 80% of the college football playoffs, $460 million. And the Group of 5 received 19%. Under the new deal, the SEC gets $23 million per school. The Big Ten gets $21 million per school. Why the discrepancy? Because the Big Ten has 18 schools to split the money up with. The SEC has 16. Okay? But you're going from 7 to 8 million up to 21 million at Penn State. You're going to get $13 million more. Just that $13 million more, okay, is about 60% of the money you need to pay the players. I mean, the overall number. Okay? Meanwhile, the SEC, the Big 12, and the ACC get considerably less money out of this. Considerably less money. And that's a big part of this. But, again, television rights-wise, ratings-wise, they don't pull their weight. In the end, the SEC and the Big Ten each get 29% of the revenue. And again, the reason why per school, it's 18 schools versus 16. That's why each per school SEC gets a little more. 29% for the Big Ten, 29% for the SEC. The ACC gets 17%. The Big 12 gets 14.7%. The Group of Five gets 9%, which they divide up. Notre Dame gets 1%. If you wonder what the 1% is, it would be about $13 million. Okay? Big Ten, Penn State would get 21.
So not quite as much as everybody else, but Notre Dame is not pleading poverty though either.
Oh no! I mean, no, they know what they have to work with. That's not. No, but they should only get 1%.
Yeah,
they shouldn't get more than that. They're a school. They're an entity, as opposed to a conference. I mean, that's so because they're a single school. That's the reason why. It has nothing to do with anything else, and they agreed to it. It's not like let's pretend they didn't agree to it. Yeah, but that's where it is, and that's what they're going to be. Some of the things they'll be talking about. The intriguing part for the fans would be this: 1, 4 automatic bids. 2, expanded playoff. 3, one of those non-conference games potentially being a Big Ten versus an SEC. Okay? Is there anything else you would think that would be? The money is an internal thing. Is there anything else you could think of with that would be headline worthy out of that I missed?
Was the officiating controversies enough to talk national officiating?
You know what? That's a boy. The difference between the pros and this is that there's more games.
Yeah.
You know, and that brings with it like the maximum number of games you can have in a weekend in the NFL is 16. Well, just between the Big Ten and the SEC, the maximum number of games that you can have in a weekend is just for those two conferences is 17. I haven't even brought in the ACC, the Big 12, the Group of Five, and Notre Dame yet, right?
Yeah.
It's just there's so many more games. It's really hard to. Now, I'll say this. In college football, officials are hired by the conference, and they, now maybe on a given week they'll work a MAC game or something, but for the most part, Big Ten officials just work only Big Ten games. They're not like a college basketball official where there are so many games during the course of the week that you're working so many games, right? I mean, so many games. Stunning how many games they work.
I was going to say the one that sticks out to me this year is I didn't realize how much Jeff Anderson worked Mountain West games.
Yeah, I'll tell you. But you know, the interesting part about Jeff is he is legitimately one of the 5 best officials I see in the game.
I just mean I mean.
Oh no, I know.
Big Ten and Mountain West, that's a lot of travel.
Yeah, and he works a lot here in the East too.
Yeah.
Let me see who's got. Jeff's worked 76 games this season. Doug Sermons has worked 87. Kip Kissinger's worked 90. Roger Ayers 86. Ron Groover 82. Ooh.